But again, very tricky matchup because the Reanimator deck has a lot of more mana acceleration than it did in the past, so it can certainly kind of jump out of the gates relatively quickly as well.
You can see both of our players sitting here ready to begin. Ben Wienburg on the left with Naya Blitz, Alex Gonzalez with Junk Reanimator.
And again, Alex Gonzalez is the higher seed here, so he will be able to choose who plays and draws, and I would expect him to want to play first.
I mean, the only reasons to go the other direction are to try to prove something.
Yeah, if you want to prove a point, you want to showboat. But looks like Alex is going to play. He's deciding whether or not he wants to keep, and he does. And we have turn one, Abyss of Pilgrim. So exactly the kind of start that Alex wanted. He has a mana accelerant to play. And on the other side, we have Ben Wienburg with the Cavern of Souls on human, casting a Boros Elite. So again, pretty good start for Alex so far. He doesn't have to contend with a Champion of the Parish or a Experiment one, which is really obviously Boros Elite can get pretty big, but it's not going to be attacking for 3 potentially on turn 2 as likely as a Champion of the Parish or Experiment one. So we have a turn 2 Mulch and just a Temple Garden for Alex, whereas Ben now has a second Cavern of Souls.
I mean, you would almost think that this is Perfector mana, but because of the existence of cards like Gore Clan Rampager, Giant Growth, Searing Spear, this means that he can certainly cast any of his creatures, but other effects, he's going to be at least 2 land away from being able to use a Gore Clan Rampager's ability.
Yeah, it would be a little bit awkward if he has a Flint Hoofborn in his hand, but oh, here we have. So sometimes you think it's going to be difficult to activate Battalion on turn 2, but not if you have Burning Tree Emissary.
I mean, a mulligan on this game, he still gets the Perfector opening. I mean, I do think that is the best possible opening for this deck. I mean, maybe Experiment one might be better. Champion better yet?
Champion or Experiment one, you attack for 7 instead of... Well, no, I guess Champion probably is the card you want, but either way, Alex has the answer in Fiend Hunter, which is a pretty good start here. He takes... Oh, interesting. He takes the Lightning Mauler. I'm surprised by that. Maybe he's afraid of... Because the Lightning Mauler could actually get eaten by the Fiend Hunter. But he takes the Lightning Mauler, so now Ben doesn't really have a good attack here unless he has another Lightning Mauler. But even still, that would just die to the Fiend Hunter. So Ben might just have to play another creature here and pass. Does he have... oh, it looks like he does have a Searing Spear. So he could cast Searing Spear on the Fiend Hunter and then get in for another 7 if he chooses. And he does have a Sacred Foundry in his hand to cast the Searing Spear. Looks like he has a Thalia as well. He's trying to determine what's the most amount of damage I can get in this turn. So Fiend Hunter doing a good job of holding down the fort so far. Are we going to see a Searing Spear? Yes, Searing Spear and Fiend Hunter. Lightning Mauler comes into play, Soul Bond is triggered, and Ben attacks for 7 again.
How incredible. If you think about this, it's turn 3 here, and he's already attacked for 14.
Yeah, Burning Tree Emissary. You know, it's just unbelievable. It looks like such an innocuous little card, but it's just so powerful. And
we have the Unburial Rights.
And Angel's Serenity.
Take that, everybody.
So, you know. Yes, I will take your creatures. So he hit an Angel's Serenity off that Mulch on turn 2, and now was able to use an Unburial Rights to get into play. So Ben, despite the fact that he was able to attack for 14 on turns 3 and 4, or on turns 2 and 3 rather, still in a little bit of trouble here.
He's got 4 power in play, and he has to contend with a Angel and whatever other action that Alex Gonzalez can muster here. Thalia will help slow that down a little bit, but there is still hiding amongst all that land an Abyss's Pilgrim.
Yeah, and the thing is, Alex has another Unburial Rights in his hand, so he could actually flash back the Unburial Rights in his graveyard to get that Fiend Hunter to take care of that Thalia or possibly the Experiment one. And maybe he decides he wants to start attacking with that Angel Serenity. So it looks like he's going to do that. He's going to flashback Unburial Rights. Does he have a better target, or is it coming for a Fiend Hunter? Can't see what the other targets are. Yep, Fiend Hunter is going to come into play. Are we going to take out the Thalia, or are we going to take out the Experiment one? Looks like he's going to take out the Thalia. But And he chooses to attack with the Angel Serenity, dropping Ben to 13. So Ben doesn't have Selesnya Charm in his deck, so he doesn't have a way to deal with the Angel Serenity game 1. We're going to see a Mayor come down here, and because the Mayor pumps all humans and Experiment 1 is a human, Ben can feel free to attack. And another Experiment 1 comes down.
You'll probably recognize Ben Wienburg if you've been a loyal viewer of Star City Games. He has a great number of many money finishes, some championships here in the Star City Games Open Series, but you might not recognize Alex Gonzalez unless you've been watching for a while. He was the StarCityGames.com Louisville Standard Open champion with Cawblade, and today he's choosing another boogeyman, Junk Reanimator.
So, tight spot for Alex here. He has the Angel Serenity, he has the Fiend Hunter in play. Mayor kind of changes things up a little bit. He has to try to get some action going. He might have a Mulch in his hand, and we know he has at least one, looks like 2 Unburial Rites, but no real gas in his graveyard to go for. So it looks like we're going to get a Mulch here, perhaps, or we can cast an Unburial Rites on maybe can't see what the other cards in his graveyard are. Are we just going to get another Pilgrim? Oh, so
Resto.
Resto Angel, okay. So are we going to blink the Fiend Hunter here?
Yep.
Okay, so Fiend Hunter gets
Let's
blanked.
reset this and take your Mayor. You can have this Thalia back.
And yes, because Thalia is going to come into play. Experiment 1 triggers and evolves.
The question I think that's being asked is the Mayor around to allow the evolution of the Experiment 1
yes.
or not?
Because Experiment is technically a 2/2 because of Mayor of Avabreck. And Thalia, I believe it should trigger though, because the Thalia would be a 3/2 anyway, correct?
I think you're correct. Thalia will be a 3/2 when it's coming back for this brief moment.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how the timing works, but either way, I think the Experiment 1 should still get a +1/+1 counter. But we'll see here, the judges are conferring. It's one of those tricky interactions that you don't expect to have to deal with. But looks like the judges are determining whether or not the Experiment 1 will get a +1/+1 counter. It's interesting here, Alex, you know, he has the Restoration Angel. He's basically swapping a Thalia for a Mayor of Avabreck. But he's still not in a bad position, but the unfortunate thing is he can't really attack yet. So it's kind of a frustrating position to be in right now. I'm not sure. Okay, so yeah, the Mayor gets taken. Thalia comes into play. Experiment 1 does get a +1/+1 counter.
Boom.
It looks like he's choosing to attack, and being at 4 life.
That's a bold
That's risky because
play.
I believe a top-decked Lightning Mauler would be able to win the game for Ben here. But
Or a Searing Spear, I believe.
Searing Spear doesn't have access to green, so he can't cast Giant Growth, so Giant Growth won't do it.
I mean, he's what is he putting it on 1 card draw here? Is he gonna be able to win next turn? No, he won't even be able to win next turn because
No, he could attack for 8. So Mayor. So yeah, I think it's still fine. He will end up losing he will lose a Fiend Hunter, but he'll only drop to 1. So he's attacking with 9 power worth of creatures. They have to. So he's going to lose his Fiend Hunter, but it doesn't matter. Restoration Angel survives and he'll be able to attack for 8 in the
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
So exposed himself a little bit to Lightning Mauler there, but in the end it didn't matter. Ben didn't draw it, and Alex wins game 1.
That was a really interesting play. Alex's choice there ends up meaning that he goes to 1 life. But aside from the first game win here from Alex Gonzalez, we are going to have one other winner out there. As we always do at the Star City Games Open Series events, we give away Star City Games Premium. I think a little prize that you should be very happy to get. If you're not already reading Premium, I would say get on that. If you care about Magic, one of the things that you really should be getting is as much information as possible. Star City Games Premium is a great way. Great articles, great videos, and even if, let's say, you're a curmudgeon, I can think of some curmudgeonly Magic players I know who's like, there's never anything good in a Magic article. Well, the thing is that you'll go to an event and you'll say to yourself, huh, my opponent, he's playing exactly Jerry T's list from this week's event. And you might know his sideboard, sideboard plan. Things like that can win you matches, so you should be on it. And
Not only that, you get those sweet, sweet editorial comments from Cedric Phillips that people love. Yeah. What's not to like?
So, how you get involved in this? We'll ask you a trivia question. If you respond with the correct answer on Twitter with the hashtag SCG Premium, you can see it right there. One lucky person amongst those will get the prize. And so the question that I am going to ask for this Star City Games Premium giveaway, there was in our top 8 a 4-color control deck, and it did not make the top 4. What color did it not play? What color did our top 8 4-color control deck not play? Now, you don't have to give us this answer in Nephilim colors. No, just tell us which color they didn't play. Make it simple.
There's only 5 colors.
Yep. Hashtag SCG Premium. Make sure you have that on your tweet. And we'll come back at the end of this match and let you know who has won 6 free months of Star City Games Premium. Meanwhile, Alex Gonzalez and Ben Wienburg going to Game 2. Alex has in his sideboard a couple different cards that are going to be of use here. Thragtusk, number 4, hiding out in the sideboard, is probably going to make an appearance along with 2 Voice of Resurgence, largely for their safe hold elite speed bump-like quality. But that's just fine. I also would expect to see 2 Abrupt Decays come in to chop away at some of Ben Weinberg's early creatures. And then, I'm not sure, how do you feel about these other cards, Obsidat and Deathrite Shaman? Do you think that those are reasonable or not reasonable?
I don't really like the Deathrite Shaman in this matchup. It's basically just a 1-2, especially because Ben has 3 Tormarch Crypts in the sideboard. Again, because this is top 4, you have perfect information. You have your opponent's deck list. You know what hate cards they're bringing in. I think the fact that he knows Ben's bringing in 3 Tormarch Crypts, it makes the reanimation strategy a little difficult. So I think he's going to try to shave some of those numbers. I don't think you can really afford to have 4 Angel Serenity in your deck because in all likelihood you're going to need to actually cast them. So 7 mana is a tough sell against a Boros, an aggressive Naya deck. Same thing with the Embera Rights. You want to shave some of those numbers, I think. I don't think you need to cut all 4, but you definitely don't want 4 in your deck against 3 Tormarch Crypts. Same thing with the Deathrite Shaman in his deck, and I also don't think the Sin Collector in his main deck is very powerful in this matchup. So I would expect them to want to bring in the Abrupt Decay, the Garruk the Relentless, just because it's another way to sort of make chump blockers as well as kill cards like Thalia. Voice of Resurgence, like you mentioned, is a great blocker. I think you want that 4th Thragtusk. Sever the Bloodline, not an efficient removal spell, but sometimes you can get pretty lucky by getting, if they go a hand of like Experiment 1, or get multiple creatures of the same type in play. And possibly Curse of Death's Hold. I mean, obviously, it's 5 mana, so it might be a little too slow on the draw. Maybe he brings it on the play if he loses this game, but Curse of Death's Hold is one of those cards that can definitely shut down a large percentage of Ben's deck. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that one show up.
So it almost sounds like you're feeling like he's going to become transforming into just junk with maybe a touch of Reanimator, maybe?
But the thing is, the great thing about the Reanimation deck is it doesn't need to reanimate to win. Obviously, he needed the Reanimation in that game because, Ben's deck is just so fast and Alex has no removal. So one of the only ways he can really survive an early onslaught is getting an Angel Serenity to play very early. But after board, Alex does have more removal spells. He has more roadblocks and Voice of Resurgence. So I think it's reasonable for him to sort of hedge some of those reanimation numbers, fearing the Tormarch Crypts, and just becoming more of a true control deck.
Does Ben try to next level it and not play the Crypts?
I don't think you can afford to do that because it's unlikely Alex boards out all of his Embera Rights, and you just can't afford to lose to a quick Angel. So right. I think you need to bring in those Crypts. I think Ben also wants the 4th Thalia, but beyond that, I don't think there's that much he needs in his deck.
Experiment 1 for Ben Weinberg. Meanwhile, in the other match, we have a winner, John Milner. Not for the match. John Milner wins the first game against Derek Roper. So Naya Humans wins on the draw in the other bracket. So I guess maybe being on the draw is...
No, I think Milner was on the play. Milner was the 4 seed.
Oh yeah. Milner was on the play.
Yeah,
there we go. My bad.
In both matchups, whoever was on the play may have won the first game.
There we go. Yeah, I had that backwards. So, yeah, as you said, both people on the play won. And if we saw that last match, imagine if Ben Weinberg had been first. I think that would have probably been enough for the game to go the other way.
Yeah, Oh, definitely. But I mean, he was attacking for 14 on turn 3, so yeah, and Alex was able to get that Angel Serenity into play just in time, and he barely got there. So yeah, if Ben's on the play that game, he definitely wins.
Thalia, one of the best weapons in this fight for Ben Wienburg.
Yeah, Thalia definitely slows things down. It makes it difficult for him to cast cards like Mulch, Grizzly Savage, even Abrupt Decay. So, but thankfully, Alex does have a Voice of Resurgence, which is one of those roadblocks that we were talking about earlier. So we have a Champion of the Parish, which comes down, and Mayor.
Boom. Here they come. Roadblock what?
So are we going to see Voice just try to slow things down a bit, or it looks like Alex does have a Fiend Hunter in his hand, so could potentially...
Accepts all of the damage.
Does he have a third land? Question. So it looks like he does have a Temple Garden and a Cavern of Souls. Not a lot of removal, though. It looks like he does have a Garruk. So we have a Cavern of Souls. Not sure what it's naming. We'll get that for you in a second. But Cavern of Souls comes down, and he's able to cast Fiend Hunter, and he takes out the Mayor of Wienburg. Surprising he takes out the Mayor. It looks like he does have a Garruk in his hand. So, Cavern of Souls name's Angel. So the Fiend Hunter comes down taking Mayor instead of a Thalia, which is surprising because, granted, the Mayor pumps the other creatures, but Mayor itself can't really afford to attack, and it means that you can't cast your Garruk next turn. So I would have expected him to possibly take the Thalia just so he can play the Mayor next turn and actually use it to kill. You cast the Garruk next turn and use the Garruk to kill the Mayor instead of just stealing it with the Fiend Hunter. But still, though, he does have 2 creatures in play.
Boom.
Fiend Hunter ends up getting Searing Speared, and all 3 creatures come over once again.
I mean, I think we might see a chump block here finally from this Voice. If he takes this hit, that's 4 plus 3 plus 3, that's 10 damage.
Wow, so Alex, not much he can do here. He didn't really get the kind of start he needed. So we're going to have a chump block here, and he's going to take 6, dropping to 6. And he gets an Elemental token, which unfortunately is just a 1/1 right now.
I mean, he wanted to have it be a Pokemon, but I guess he's having to use that Elemental.
And Thalia is playing a really important role in this game. He can't cast Garruk, and everything else in his hand is very overcosted. So even though Thragtusk was sitting there, couldn't quite get there soon enough. So Alex Gonzalez loses game 2 very quickly to Ben Wienburg, and Thalia really played a huge role there.
Absolutely.
If that Garruk came down, it would have been able to kill the Experiment one, kill the Mayor, could have changed things around possibly, but and again, it shows you, being on the play is huge, because Alex could have played the Voice of Resurgence, and then he could have played the Fiend Hunter, and then suddenly Ben, if he tried to Searing Spear the Fiend Hunter, he doesn't have nearly enough creatures to follow up the attack with. So it's pretty unfortunate for Alex, but again, he'll be on the play this time, so maybe he'll get one of those mana accelerants into play and jump ahead of the curve a little bit more.
In the other match, the Milner and Roper match, we have the exact same situation happen. The player on the play has won. That means Derek Roper has won game 2, and they are going on to a game 3. And so far, our prediction earlier was that the match would be largely have a strong correlation to who was on the play. And in these 2 matches, the other match in the other bracket is also Reanimator versus Naya Blitz. The player on the play has won every game.
Yeah, no one has managed to break serve yet. So we'll see if Ben is able to do that, or if Derek is able to do it in the other match. But yeah, being on the play first, you can just see it's so important, because all these games come down to these critical turns. Just because the Naya Blitz deck is just capable of putting out so much pressure early on.
So we see Ben doing a little bit more sideboarding for game 3. I'm confident he brought in the 3rd Thalia from his sideboard. But what else do you think he might have brought in from that board?
Well, it's interesting. There's nothing in his sideboard I think is really that I want. He has 2 pacifisms, 2 electricity. He might bring in the electricity to kind of deal with the mana creatures. I don't know if that's something his deck really wants to be doing, though. Same thing with the Ray Revelations being shown on first blade. I think this is one of those matchups, though, where he changes how he sideboards depending if he's on the play or draw. So the Tormod's Crypts, I can see him possibly not bringing them in if he's on the play, because he can put enough pressure on Alex where Alex can't get to that critical reanimation turn anyway, so it doesn't matter as much. But if he's on the draw, Alex can reasonably reanimate something on turn 4 or 5, because Ben's critical turn is usually 4. Like, Ben can't kill someone on turn 3 unless he gets really, really lucky. So Ben definitely needs those Tormod's Crypts more on the draw than he would on the play. So I could see him maybe not boarding them in for game 2, but boarding them in for game 3.
And in that game, or in this sideboarding, he definitely did change up his board. I didn't see how many cards, but he has changed configurations since his last game.
Yeah, my guess is the Thalia definitely comes in, and possibly the 3 Tormod's Crypts for game 3, because he's in the draw. Giant Growth isn't particularly great in this matchup, so those 2 can come out. But beyond that, there's not that many cards. He probably doesn't want to dilute his deck that much. He has 4 Frontline Medics. Those are probably the weakest creatures in his deck in this matchup. So I would venture to guess maybe 2 Frontline Medics and 2 Giant Growths come out for those 4 cards.
We're going to see what happens here in this critical game 3. Alex Gonzalez, a Reanimator player here against Ben Wienburg, playing the beatdown role here with Naya Blitz.
And I could tell, it looks like Alex's hand is one of those frustrating hands. He has an Avacyn program, he has a Fiend Hunter, he has a Garruk, but it doesn't look like he has a lot of mana to work with. So, looks like he's going to take a chance and go for it. And Ben mulligans.
Yep. I mean, Ben Wienburg, he mulliganed in game 1 as well, and still had this ridiculous draw where he was able to get 14 damage on the table by turn 3. Insufficient to win that game, but he can certainly still put out incredible pressure with despite mulliganing with his deck.
Yeah, it all comes down to the fact the fact that his 1-drops are just so powerful. Champion of the Parish, Experiment 1, even Boros Elite, they can all effectively attack for 3 on turn 2 or 3. So you're doing a lot of damage early on just because of those 1-drops. And again, Burning Tree Emissary. Having a 1-drop in Burning Tree Emissary, suddenly it doesn't matter if you mulligan, you're threatening 7 damage on turn 3. So one of those decks that you don't want to mulligan, but you can afford to sometimes because of the fact that you can put in a lot of pressure early on.
If you're just joining us, Osip and I have been watching some awesome Magic, blistering fast games between Ben Wienburg and Alex Gonzalez. And in the other bracket, John and Derek, that's John Milner and Derek Roper, also blistering fast. Both of these matches in game 3. Ruben Bressler, you can see there on the right covering the match. He's trying to type so quickly just to catch up, but...
Oh, okay, so this is the hand. It was a bunch of come into play tap lands. So he does have the Pilgrim. And are we going to have a Mulch or Grizzly Savage here? Because he plays Temple Garden untapped. And we have double Pilgrim. Okay, so
Trickery.
Alex managed to draw exactly what he wants in this matchup. It looks like he has an Abrupt Decay, a Fiend Hunter, and a Garruk. So he's sitting in pretty good shape so far. And especially because Ben didn't even have a 1-drop.
Yeah.
So this is one of those situations where if he has an Electrickery, it'd be pretty solid, but doesn't look like he has Electrickery.
And I mean, one of the things is that sometimes the best card you can possibly draw is a card that you might not even want to bring in, but it could be so good sometimes. We talked before about whether Electrickery was good or not. It certainly has applications, and it's also certainly a card that you might be sad you have. Are we going to see Garruk? Yep. Oh, there
Garruk
it is.
Comes down. This is great. This is the exact situation you want. Obviously, Garruk isn't amazing against hyper-aggressive decks, but this is a perfect situation for it. Ben just doesn't have enough of an offense to really threaten Garruk right now. So Alex can make a chump blocker, and then he can also threaten to kill any of the smaller creatures Ben plays on the following turns. And you could see there that Ben does have a Tormod's Crypt in his hand, but it's not really going to be that relevant in this game because Alex's plan isn't about reanimating creatures. It's about generating a dominant board presence and playing a lot of really powerful cards that are just overmatched, that Ben's deck is just overmatched by.
I mean, he's essentially turning from being a deck that has an explosive combo in the form of cheating a huge creature into play into instead being a pretty much a straight-up mid-range control deck that's just going to say, you know what, you're not going to be able to get through this huge wall of everything I'm going to put down.
So looks like we have a double block there with
Respect.
with an Avison Pilgrim and 3 lands in play. Alex doesn't feel like he needs that Avison Pilgrim anymore, so we're gonna have a double block. And I like this play actually because let's say the worst thing that can happen is maybe a Gorkland Rampager, but then you effectively waste this turn, and Searing Spear takes out the Garrick, so that's unfortunate.
In the other bracket, we have someone breaking serve. Derek Roper with Reanimator. Junk Reanimator advances to the finals, defeating John Milner with Naya Blitz.
So Alex does have a Thragtusk. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a 5th mana anymore because he sacrificed that Avison Pilgrim. So he does have a Restoration Angel, though, that can come down. And Ben kind of sniffs it out. Doesn't look like he wants to attack with that Boros Elite. Abrupt Decay takes care of Frontline Medic. And Ben is down to 1 card.
An Angel of Serenity drawn by Alex Gonzalez.
Yeah, and I bet Alex kind of regrets using that Avison Pilgrim now. But again, I think it was a reasonable play. Lightning Mauler.
Wow, we see with the Mauler, the creation of the army. And they're best friends forever. Experiment 1 and Lightning Mauler, they come on in and they're going to march into an Angel.
Restoration Angel comes down.
Picture some humans coming in and from the clouds, an Angel.
And yeah, let's see what gets taken out. I like taking out the Experiment 1 right here. Or maybe the Lightning Mauler.
I mean,
you can take out, let's see what he chooses to block here. You don't want that Lightning Mauler to do any more damage. So, Boros Elite gets eaten up. He still has a Fiend Hunter in his hand. Alex drops to 14, so he can cast Fiend Hunter. If he draws a 5th land, he can drop that Thragtusk.
Is that a Grizzly Salvage?
Grizzly Salvage. So that'll help him find the land he needs. If he finds another land, he can still cast the Avison Pilgrim this turn. Wow.
See, land, Unburial Rites, Voice of Resurgence, Abrupt Decay, which he cannot take,
and he has a Cavern.
I think there's 2 land in there.
Yeah, so if he takes the Cavern here, he can name Angel, Beast, whatever he chooses, and he can still cast Fiend Hunter this turn to take out the Experiment 1, or more likely the Lightning Mauler. So it looks like he's going to... Yeah, I wouldn't take the Overrun Tomb. You don't want to take the damage, I don't think. You don't need it.
He's like, okay, it's one of these 2. Give me a second to think about it.
And again, he did reveal an Unburial Rites, but unfortunately Ben does have a Tormor's Crypt in place, so it's not really going to be that relevant right now. But has the Cavern. Let's see what he names, possibly Beast or Angel.
I mean, maybe Hippo at this point.
Is he going to cast the Fiend Hunter this turn? I like casting the Fiend Hunter. You don't want to let things get out of control.
Oh, wow.
But,
he says pass.
Okay, so hopefully Ben doesn't have anything too powerful right here. Frontline Medic would be okay. Maybe. So just a pass. Nothing for Ben. And we have a draw. Looks like another Angel of some sort. Can't tell if it's Serenity or Restoration.
In comes Restoration Angel.
And here comes Big Daddy Thragtusk.
Boom.
Bringing Alex back up to 19 and giving him a hefty blocker for Ben's side.
Ben Wienburg now in a position where I think he's in real trouble.
Yeah,
Very few cards exist that I think will pull him out of this.
There's really not much he can do to pull out of this one, and Alex can definitely. I don't see why he wouldn't want to drop the Fiend Hunter now. I don't think there's anything else. You want to get rid of that battalion. I would probably take out the Experiment 1, or I'd take out the Boros Elite because you don't want to unsoulbond the. Now I would definitely take out the Lightning Mauler. So now Fiend Hunter should probably come down. Or it looks like he's just going to pass again.
He might have a resto.
He has a resto, yeah. So.
And Ben Wienburg sees the writing on the wall.
Ben Wienburg falls 2-1 to Alex Gonzalez. And again, Derek Roper was able to break serve in the other match, but Alex Gonzalez was able to hold his serve, showing that both players were able to, both Reanimator players were able to advance into the finals. We're going to have all Reanimator finals